Many family and friends still in disbelief as they gathered today to remember a prominent Atlanta area family after their tragic deaths last week. A joint memorial service was held for Dr. Marcia Edwards and her adult children, Christopher and Aaron Edwards. Cobb County Police say that Marcia Edwards shot Aaron and Christopher inside their Viningstown home last week, then killed herself. 11 Alive's Jennifer Bellamy has a look inside today's memorial service.
Well, they called it a celebration of life, not a funeral, and it was obvious today how many lives the Edwards family impacted as dozens gathered at Cascade United Methodist Church in Southwest Atlanta for their memorial service. There were no caskets, just 3 large framed photos of Marcia, Christopher, and Aaron centered at the altar. Aaron and Christopher's father, Dr. Christopher Edwards, stood and greeted almost everyone who walked in with the procession. Several of the organizations the family was part of were there too. Marcia Edwards was a member of the Camilla Rose chapter of the Lynx. They were all seated together in white. And the Woodward Academy chorus from Christopher and Aaron's former school sang at the service. Family members spoke and remembered their lives with emotional and even at times funny anecdotes. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, a close friend of the family, was the last to speak. She remembered the tenacity and character of Christopher and spoke about the time he interned at the city council office. She said Aaron's laughter brightened every room and that she could have taken over the mayor's communications office. Mayor Bottoms announced a portion of the mayor's scholarship fund will now be named after Christopher and Aaron. And in lieu of flowers, people have been asked to donate to the multiple memorial and scholarship funds set up in their honor.